Hi, welcome everybody. It's great to be here. I don't know if you can hear the seagulls crying outside. It's been another wonderful day. And do say who you are, where you're from. That'd be great. And we'll begin our exploration of our topic for today. It's Jules and Mike. Lovely to see you. That's great. And Celia. Isalinda, Beth from Italy, Jessie from Saskatchewan, Vivian from North Germany. That's lovely. That's fantastic. So I hope I had the tech guys in, and I think we have to, hopefully, or sadly perhaps, we have to say goodbye to the green man. That I'm not sure I'm going to pixelate anymore because they've fixed our internet, or so they say. So we'll see. So the good side is that we won't be disturbed and lose our connection. Tropical bread in Holland. That's great. Hi, Nicole. That's the good news. The bad news is the green man may have disappeared into the forest. Zavi says the video looks better. That's great. That's good to hear. So lots of love from the Netherlands. That's great. Hi, Vika and Derbyshire, etc. Okay, now what shall we explore today? The world at the moment, of course, seems completely mad. Even just before I came on, I was watching the news with the sort of latest mad press conference that Trump has given. And every day has been completely nutty with him, with what he says. And video and sound much better, Tony. That's great. I'm so glad to hear that the tech guys have done their work. That's brilliant. So every day seems to be a little crazier. And not only do we have what's happening in the States and with Mr. Trump, but of course we've got Brexit, the insanity of what's happening in British politics as well. And the question I find myself asking is, it becomes more and more important to me, and I guess to everybody really, to be able to find their center. The distractions of the world, the internet, the distractions of the world have always been there. Now they're kind of increased perhaps because of the internet and because of the availability of news and fake news and real news. But in addition, we have these extraordinary challenges of climate change and overpopulation and species depletion and all the rest of it. So there's plenty to worry about, plenty to be stressed about. And the challenge I think we face is, how can each of us as individuals and as a community as well, that's another interesting point that maybe we won't have time for today. I'm going to focus on the individual, and but the challenge is, how do we maintain our focus, our stability, our sense of hope, our positivity, and above all, a sense of calm? And I think the concept to really work with is that of the sanctuary. So I've called this evening's discussion the sanctuary of the heart. And this idea, which connects with ideas of sanity, which come from the French for health, and saint, the idea of a saint as well, saintliness, sanctuary, sanity, and the challenge for us is, how can we find sanctuary? And what I'd like to ask you as a little piece of research here, because I think these meetings offer a fabulous opportunity for us to see what each other is thinking, see what's going on for all of us, is just take a moment now, if you will, to ask yourself what your ideal, if you had to visualize your place of sanctuary. Of course, sanctuary is a state of mind, it's a state of feeling, it's a state of the body, but also it can be as well a physical, external state as well as an internal one. So I'm going to ask you now to visualize your ideal sanctuary. Just take a moment to kind of check in with yourself, to go inside and to imagine what your ideal sanctuary would look like. And so when you've got an idea what it might look like, do type it in if it's come to you. And in the meanwhile, Janie is in a field with horses. That's lovely. In the Druid tradition and in OBOD, what we the way we work with this concept is with the idea of the sacred grove. So we encourage people to make sanctuaries in the physical material world, which is good for the earth because we're planting trees, and it creates places that are sacred and special and magical and protected from hunters and polluters and so on. So it's a good thing to do for the world, not only for ourselves, but it's also a lovely place for us to go. And if you're lucky enough to have a garden or some land where you can do that, that's fantastic. And over the years, many members have done this, and have created physical groves. But of course, the sanctuary is a place in the inner world as well. And if you can't create it in the outer world, you can at least create it in the inner world. And that's very powerful. In fact, you could even argue that it's more powerful because that's where we start from. And now we're getting in some replies, and we've got an orchard on top of a hill, a central pool within a forest grove, a sacred grove. My current home, that's lovely, because I think that's really important, that we sense our home as our sanctuary in a way. And one of the things, a cave in the mountains, that's wonderful. A stone circle. This is fantastic. Lovely reading these. A wooden house in the forest surrounded by trees. A room with closed doors and peace and quiet. And so that's lovely. And what we're going to do, what I'm going to do at the end of our session together, just in a little while, is let's have a meditation, and let's use an image of the walled garden. You know, particularly in Britain, I know not all countries have this tradition of sort of extraordinary walled gardens. I know in Ireland they do as well. This lovely idea of a garden that has walls around it, so that the plants are protected. So there's a real sense of safety, because I think an important concept in the idea of sanctuary is safety. You know, in spirituality, you know, say in Buddhism, you talk about, and in Jainism, you talk about taking refuge. I take my refuge in the Buddha, the Sangha, the Dharma, in my community, in my teacher, in the teaching. Taking refuge, which is a kind of recognition. It might sound to somebody who wasn't familiar with it as a kind of scaredy cat reaction to life, but it's not. It's a recognition that life can be very difficult indeed, and that the stresses that life can present and the instability of life can affect one's physical health and one's mental health. And therefore it's healthy and good to have somewhere where you can retire to, your hermitage, your sanctuary, which is also your refuge. And so let's do that. We'll go to a walled garden. But in the meantime, just for a couple of minutes, I just wanted to explore a little more this idea of sanctuary. How would you work with this in situations that are stressful? Because I think that's the way we can really test out our spirituality and the value of spiritual exercises. So the daily commute into work, or taking a flight, a plane somewhere, is something that is stressful for many people. You know, you're going on a plane, you might be worried about flying. It's a pretty strange thing to do, to go up in a metal tube. There's the security at the airport. There are guys walking around with machine guns. The other day, when I flew to New Orleans a couple of months back, there were guys with machine guns on the air side. You know, we'd all been through security, so everybody was supposed to be safe. And there were guys with machine guns, and I felt like saying to them, "Why are you here? You should be on the other side, surely." So there's always this sense of stress around in these situations of traveling and going to unusual environments. And the question then comes is, how can I feel safe? So here's a little two things I wanted to share with you. One is just a very simple breathing exercise, which is a way of calming oneself down and achieving some sense of calm and a letting go of anxiety, while still maintaining one sense of inner strength. And it's so simple. It's just what you do is you breathe in through your nose and you take a kind of comfortable, but a deep breath, but not a straining deep breath. And you count in your mind as you breathe in. So you breathe in through your nose like that. What was that? That was 1, 2, 3, 4, say. And then I breathe out through my mouth, double, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like that. In 1, 2, 3, 4 through my nose, out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you do that just for a few minutes. And if it works for you, you'll find it's calming you down. And another idea that I'd like to share with you is, again, when you're particularly in a public situation, if you think of your sanctuary as a place like your home or a garden or a sacred grove where you are protected, the thing is, you also want to feel safe and calm and tranquil, even amidst the turmoil of life, even in the airport or on the train going to work, or in a business meeting where people are getting angry or upset or something like that. And so here's a technique, which is to just momentarily, when you know you're physically safe, as it were, you're sitting on the train, say, you just close your eyes for a moment and just move your consciousness down to here, your heart solar plexus area, just in that area like that. And just breathe in. And now you could, particularly if you're an experienced meditator, you could just go with that, and you could just go in deeper and deeper and deeper. And that's really beautiful to do. But if you're on a train or in an airport, this may not be a sensible thing to do, because things happen on trains. I was doing this once on a train a couple of years ago, and I got into a really deep meditation, and then I started to be hassled by the ticket inspector, who was, and I was jerked out of my meditation, and it turned out I had the wrong ticket, and he fined me, and it was just such a drama. So instead, what I do in public places now is I do that, connect in deeply, but then every so often I just open my eyes from the place of calm and stability, having relaxed, because when you go inside and connect here, you can start to feel your body relaxing as well. Then you can encourage it in a kind of radiating pattern of relaxation, where just from this still, calm center, your muscles are relaxing like that. But just every so often, from that relaxed and calm space, you just open your eyes and look around, so you're fully present in your circumstances. You're not escaping anywhere. You're not checking out. You're not in denial of the reality you're in, but you're feeling calm and relaxed. And then you go back inside and you close your eyes and you connect in again like that. And then you come out again. You just move rhythmically and comfortably from being in the world and then being deep within the sanctuary of your heart. And Erica talks about equanimity, that wonderful word, which is like all these words: tranquility, equanimity, calm. Even if you say them to yourself, they have an effect. If you sit there and you just think of equanimity or calm, it starts to calm you often. Ellie says, I do this often when I'm in the city and there are too many people and it becomes so overwhelming. I dip into a coffee shop and meditate. Then practice giving and receiving on the out breath. That's lovely. So there's a way in which you're not cutting off from the world and just going inside and kind of distancing yourself. You're fully present, but you're also calm and in this deep space. And Denya says this works too. Nice. So that's, and Candice said, I try to do this daily. That's lovely. And this is what I love about this journey is that, many of us have found these techniques. It's not like I'm giving techniques or talking about stuff that only I know and, the old kind of guru disciple thing at all. It's not that at all. It's like there'll be people listening here now who've never tried things like this before. And they'll hear an idea and they'll go, oh, wow, that's interesting. I'll try that next time. And then there'll be other people who say, oh, yeah, I do that. Or I have a variation on that. What I do is I do this, which is slightly different, and so on. So I love this kind of community that we have. So let's try this now. And you know, afterwards, if any thoughts come to you about how you find calm and equanimity and tranquility in stressful situations, do you know, add in your comments and say and share these comments with other people, because there's a way in which what we're talking about is like a micro retreat. You know, the way when life gets stressful and you think, I've got to go on retreat. You think, I've got to go away for a week and I've got to meditate or do yoga by the beach or whatever it is. And sure, I think retreats are really, really important. But there's a way in which you can do these little micro retreats during the day yourself. You just check in. That's essentially what we're doing when we meet on a Monday evening. We have a little micro retreat. We kind of settle ourselves. We talk and share ideas about magic and spirituality. And then I just talk us through a kind of relaxing meditation that's like a little mini retreat for 10 minutes. And so we feel calmed and refreshed by that. So let's move from the world of ideas and concepts to things. Shane is saying, I need to learn how to meditate. I'm concerned about falling asleep doing it. Well, let's meditate now just for 10 minutes. And if you fall asleep, don't worry, that's fine. You'll have a little nap and that'll be great. But I don't think you will, because it's going to be very, very short. And here's how we're going to do it. First of all, with complete willingness. If you're not in the mood, if you just want to watch and listen and do it later, that's absolutely fine, of course, just to get your bearings and to check it out. And then you know, play it again and do it again, or do it yourself without the recording. So what we're going to do is often it helps to close your eyes to better concentrate on yourself. And first of all, become aware of the sounds outside the room where you are. For me, it's seagulls in the sky outside, and you might be able to hear them too. And just fully accepting those sounds and just allowing them to be there, I move the focus of my attention. And I invite you to do the same. Move the focus of your attention to any sounds you might hear inside the room. And allowing those and just having those present too, you move the focus of attention to within your own body, your breathing or your heartbeat, for example. And then just go from that awareness of breathing, sensing yourself breathing in and breathing out. Just allow your awareness to move down to the heart area, the heart, or even lower down, sort of between the heart and the solar plexus, perhaps. Just wherever you feel like dropping your awareness and consciousness to a place that feels central and stable. And then, just as an exercise in the imagination, imagine you're in a beautiful garden. It's really lovely. You've been walking through it, and it's quite a big garden. You've been walking around, and there are lovely trees and flowers, and you come to a wall, and you remember that there's a walled garden, like a garden within a garden. And you see this wall, and you see a beautiful arched doorway into it, a wooden doorway with a latch. And you just check in with yourself if you'd like to go into this garden, this walled garden. You've heard it's very beautiful and very calm. And if it feels right for you and you want to do that, you just go up to the latch and you turn the latch and slowly open the door. And you find yourself walking into the most lovely garden. Close the door behind you. You turn around, it's warm. Feels just right. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. Sunlight and shade. Shade in the trees, dappling, so you can walk in the shade, you can walk in the sun. It smells beautiful. They've got some lovely plants and bushes and flowers here. Smells divine. And you're walking along across the grass now. And you see there's a little stream. There's a bridge, little wooden bridge over the stream. You see beyond the stream a lawn. There's a beautiful tree, a lovely tree that just feels welcoming to you. It's just slightly high up on a little raised bank. And if it feels right, you just walk over to the tree and you greet the tree. You touch the ground with your hand. You send your love for the tree through your hand, through the palm of your hand. And then you sit beneath its shade. You might even lie down. So you sit perhaps with your back against the trunk, or lie down, you decide. And you just open to the complete tranquility and calm in this garden. The sense of beauty and peace in this walled garden. You might even hear the buzzing of the bees and the flowers. You feel the breeze across your face. You breathe in the sweet air. And you just allow your body to relax completely, allowing all the tensions just to fall away into the earth. Just allowing the earth to hold you and to send you its energy, which you feel flowing through your body, the slow pulse of the earth, the energy of the earth bringing you healing and strength. And you feel this strength deep inside you, deep in the center of your being, in the center of your heart, a real sense of stability. And you just focus on your breathing, just breathing in, breathing into this place of stability, and breathing out. With no effort, the breath just flows on its own, in and out. And the breath is like this perfumed air floating through the garden, just flowing into your body and flowing out. And feeling calmed and strengthened. You place your hands on the earth. You look around the garden, and if you want to return, you make a resolve to return to this place. You know you can spend as much time as you like here in the future. But for now, it's time to leave the garden. And you sense yourself walking back, having thanked the tree, walking back over the wooden bridge over the river, the stream, across the grass. And there you see the door in the wall. You open the door. You step through the door and you just turn and you just have one last glimpse of this secret garden, this sanctuary of the heart. And then you close the door, knowing you can return at any time. You find yourself standing in the country, in this wider garden, looking at the doorway. And slowly you allow this scene to fade from your imagination, from your inner eye. And you become aware of being seated in front of your computer or your tablet or your phone. You become aware of sounds within, sounds in the room, sounds outside the room. Sensing yourself fully present here and now. Gradually you open your eyes. And here we are together. Janie Celeste says a secret garden, a weeping willow. Jeannot, a waterfall. So, a Pinnacus Rex, we are in a grove by the sea. So, that's a lovely, I find that just such a lovely meditation myself. And you know, if it worked for you, of course, you know, do go back whenever you like. It's your own special secret garden, your own sanctuary. But perhaps a garden isn't what you want. Maybe it's, you know, sitting by the sea, being in a forest. You decide it might be worth taking some time to create your own inner sanctuary. Could be a little Greek temple on a hill. So I'm so glad that we were able to do that. And I think the concept of the sanctuary is a very fruitful one to spend time with, and to see how one can build it into one's life, to say, do I have enough sanctuary time? Is there a way in which perhaps once or twice a year I should really go somewhere physically, because there are special places on this planet and in the landscape that have this feeling of sanctuary? And should I go on a retreat perhaps once a year, make this my habit? Should I go away for the weekend, or should I have as well these little mini retreats every day? So Pez Bien is saying, I find it impossible to meditate without guidance. Does it come with practice? Okay, let me close with this point. That's an interesting one. For a very long time, I believed and acted as if it was important to always do it on your own, and that if you used an external voice, you should use that only until you could internalize it yourself. So when I did meditations for people, I would always have in mind that the listeners should eventually internalize these kinds of sequences, these kinds of journeys, these kind of visualizations, so that they can be on their own, so they're fully empowered, so they're not dependent on my voice, because it's not about making people dependent on somebody else. However, when I did my training at the Total Yoga Nidra Foundation, where we did a wonderful, deep, in-depth training in leading people on meditations, they presented me with a different perspective. They said, if you find that you go deepest and you let go the most by listening to somebody else guiding you, then what's wrong with that? There's a way in which, if you don't have to run the script yourself or tell yourself what to do, there's a really deep level of letting go that can occur. So just go with it. So that's freed me, actually. That's liberated me, because now my attitude is, if you want to always use, and if I want to always use recordings, that's fine. And if I want to internalize it and run the show myself, as it were, for myself, I do that. So I'll give you as a concrete example. You know, I have a little catnap audio recording that I've done that's in the sleep clinic and on the collection of meditations, Sacred Nature. If I want to have a catnap just for 15 minutes or so, I listen to that recording, because then I can completely let go. I don't have to make any effort to generate the script or to generate the sequence of things I'm supposed to be doing. I just completely surrender to this voice that happens to be mine, but it could be somebody else's. And I also know that it'll wake me up, it'll pull me out of it after 20 minutes. Stephanie teases me and said, oh my God, how can you listen to your own voice? And I said, well, it's quite easy, because it knocks me out. So this is what I believe now. I believe that, as with many things, either approach is fine. If you want to gradually kind of be in charge of the process, then sure, listen to recordings, then kind of internalize them or memorize them, and then run yourself on the sequence, or record them and then listen to your own voice if that works, or listen to somebody else. I mean, whichever works. So thank you for being here. Have a lovely week ahead. Lots of peace, lots of calm, lots of tranquility and equanimity to you, and lots of love. And see you next week. Okay, bye then.